Reach for Pepto-Bismol. It's all your stomach needs.
The $5 bill, so many nicknames, the fiver, the 5-spot, $5. And now, Red Roof Inn's own version. Bobby?
The Red Roof Inn. Play on words. That's $5 in cash that you'll get every night you stay at Red Roof Inns when you check in with this coupon.
To check out improvements going on now nationwide, get your $5 cashback coupon in Tuesdays and Thursdays USA Today.
I thank you, and he thanks you.
If you can do this, you can make wood beautiful with Minwax. And if you can do this, you can give wood lasting protection. Turning a house into a beautiful home is as easy as turning to Minwax.
When my best pitch is working, chances are they're not going to get it.
You're out!
Now here's something I don't get at all. Spit tobacco, also known as chew, dip, or snuff, is dangerous. It's addictive, and it's really kind of gross. So just play the game and go for the gold.
Message furnished by Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association.
Murray, Leyritz, and DeSarcina are due up in the bottom of the 6th inning for the Angels. Their lead cut in half by the Naring home run in the top half of the inning. And we just barely got a look at Vaughn Eshelman, who retired Garrett Anderson on the first pitch, went right after it and popped it up to Vaughn at first base. So Eddie Murray goes again right after the first pitch and sends that one foul. Is that surprising you? They're not waiting on this?
Well, it did with Garrett Anderson a little bit. Obviously, Garrett was looking for a fastball first pitch, but I believe he swung on a ball up out of the zone. Eshelman can get wild. That's why his numbers were up high last year, his ERA. He's either real good or not very good at all. There's really no in between with Vaughn. And he works fast. He's quick to the plate. He's got a fastball slider. Then he'll throw what they call a Bugs Bunny curveball sometimes with 2 strikes. Kind of flips up a real slow curveball.
Base hit by Murray. His first in an Angel uniform.
Eshelman was drafted off a Baltimore roster a couple of years ago, off a AA roster, and made the club in '95 and started the season with like 17 scoreless innings. He beat the Yankees, he beat Cleveland early in the season, and then of course things caught up with him a little bit. He still has good stuff, but really didn't have the year that people would have liked last year. Thought better things would have come for him last year. But he's a left-hander with a good arm, and guys like that will get a lot of opportunities.
Here's Leyritz, who was 0 for 2, fly to center and a strikeout. Well, you mentioned the control. Eshelman in 87 2/3 innings last year, 58 walks.
Right, and that's the biggest problem. He'll get it where he's working too quick. I can see already by that leg kick that he's changed. Joe Kerrigan has changed something from him from a year ago. He used to slide step almost all the time. Now he's got a bigger leg kick.
Grounded hard and through on the left side, and Leyritz is aboard. Murray taking the turn at second. First and second for Anaheim with nobody out in the 6th. Gordon went 4 2/3, struck out 6, couldn't get out of the 5th, and now Eshelman has been touched for back-to-back singles.
Now this is probably a bunt situation, but with Terry Collins now you never know. But this late in the ball game, you want to get these guys to second and third with DeSarcina. You're going to see Tim Naring give the sign at third base. He's letting the infielders know what play is on. Most likely, they're going to have the regular play, which is a number 1 play. And what that means is the third baseman will stay even with the bag on the grass. He'll read the bunt. If it's a hard bunt toward him, he'll have to charge and take the bunt, and there'll be nobody covering third base. Second baseman will break to first, shortstop will break to second. And Terry Collins is really going against the grain, and I like it.
I can tell.
I'm excited about it. Well, I've known Terry a long time, and I'm happy he's bringing in a real aggressive style here. Now, he's got the corners in, which is to the hitter's advantage. But what managers do here, if he didn't show bunt the first time, he may show it now. He may take it off, put it back on.
There it is.
Okay, there you saw it. Shortstop breaking to second. Second baseman goes to cover first. Naring read the bunt. There was no bunt his way, so he goes back to cover third. It's called the number 1 play, and all the bases are covered here. It's a play designed to get an out. There's basically 3 other plays. One's a pickoff play to second base, and one is called a wheel play, where you try to get the out at third base. It's a very aggressive play. Now they're playing 2 strikes, of course.
0-2 pitch, base hit in front of Mack in center field. Murray will hold at third. Mack not the best arm, but Murray certainly not the best speed either. So they are loaded on consecutive singles in the 6th.
Now we have Erstad up. There's a good throw. Just hit the cutoff, man. If your arm is not feeling very good, don't try to make a great play. Just hit the cutoff, man. That's what Shane Mack did there. He got to the ball quickly. He's a good outfielder. Jimmy Williams contemplating right here. You've got Erstad up in a situation where he likes to drive the ball. Terry Collins is very impressed with Erstad's power. He expects good power numbers out of him. The reason he's leading him off, he just feels he's their fastest guy and the best guy they have in the club to do this role. But normally Erstad's going to be a run producer as well.
Lefty-lefty matchup, swing and a miss. Foul ball by Erstad back behind the plate. Struck out in the 1st and 4th and grounded to 2nd and the 3rd. Alicea is due next.
Where Eshelman got in trouble a year ago as to left-handed hitters when he threw that slow curveball. Tried to get him not to do that because the left-handers jumped on that thing. So I think we've probably seen him stay hard slider, hard fastball.
Chopper, Eshelman will come home for the out. First out, and they remain loaded as Murray is cut down at the plate.
Here's the pitch. That's a hard slider. Against the left-handed hitter there, going down and away. That was a good pitch. Got the ground ball, a little tapper. And he's in the same situation here. He needs a ground ball with 1 out and the bases loaded.
Williams with the wheels turning. Got exactly what they needed from Erstad. Here is Luis Alicea, now struck out in the 1st, walked and scored in the 3rd, singled, got as far as 3rd in the 5th. A screamer foul in front of the Red Sox dugout.
This is the whole game right here. If they score here, a couple of runs, it can break the game open. For Anaheim, excuse me, not California
first
anymore.
time.
You got, I got it.
That's not bad though. We're almost 2/3 halfway through this first game, and that's the first time either one of us has slipped on Anaheim.
And on the flip side, if Boston gets out of this, the momentum swings the other way. So these are the pivotal points of the game. These are the fun parts for the manager. Can be the tough parts or fun parts, however you look at it.
Fun or gut-wrenching, depending on how things turn out.
Absolutely. I'd be standing up.
You in the dugout, you would be on the top step.
I'd be standing up right now and looking down the bullpen. And
1-1 pitch, swung on and missed. 1-2. Outfield giving Alicea a big gap to shoot for in left center.
And Eshelman's got to stay aggressive here. Like again, where he gets into trouble is when he goes off speed in these situations. He's got to go to a power pitch and try to strike Louis out. He's got good movement on his sinker, and that looks like we're going to throw right here. Got it up.
Right center field, base hit. Run comes home. Second run on the way. The throw from Pemberton is not in time and cut off. 4-1 Angels.
It's a good piece of hitting right-handed by Alicea. Again, they try to go away. He tried to throw a sinker, didn't sink, and kept the ball up. Watch where this ball is. It's up. About belt high or higher, and that's a very hittable pitch. Doesn't take much. It takes a few inches. That's why you teach pitchers to pitch down. When you pitch down and you have movement down, it's tough to get the ball in the air.
That's going to be it for Vaughn Eshelman as Leyritz and DiSarcina come home. On the ringing base hit by Alicea, who's had a pretty good debut for the Angels. 2 RBIs and a run scored himself, so he has accounted for 3 of their 4 runs in a pitching change in the bottom half of the 6th inning.
On September 6th, 1995, everyone at Camden Yards had sweaty palms. Except the guy with the carbon fiber batting gloves.
The pitch to Ripken. Swinging a deep drive left field. Way back. Home run. Ripken. Unbelievable.
Franklin Carbon Fiber Batting Gloves. The official batting glove of Major League Baseball.
Still waiting for the perfect floor? Ooh. New Formica flooring. Looks like wood. Wears like iron.
American Movie Classics brings everyone who loves a pretty face closer to the glamour girls of classic Hollywood. They were lush. They were ripe. And they dressed to kill. And a man could die just waiting for them. And you'll find them all on AMC. American Movie Classics, the original classic movie network.
This weekend, Marilyn Monroe stars in The 7-Year Itch.
The new pitcher for Boston is Butch Henry, with the Angels now leading 4-1 after the 2-run single by Luis Alicea. He will face Jim Edmonds. Sam and Dew next. And don't forget the season premiere of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. The game of the week will be right here at Anaheim Stadium as the Indians come calling with Matt Williams and company. Edmonds a home run tonight. That's 8 o'clock Eastern Sunday night. John Miller and Joe Morgan. Butch Henry will turn 29 in October, native of El Paso, 6'1", 205. Originally signed by the Cincinnati Reds, and he steps in with some heat still on. Runners at first and second, Erstad and Alicea. 4 hits allowed this inning by Eshelman before he departed. And the first pitch is over on the outside corner to Edmonds, who has homered and singled tonight.
Butch Henry missed all of 1996, had a great year in Montreal in 95, had the elbow surgery. And one of the reasons Jimmy Williams didn't bring him in with the bases loaded, because it's his first appearance back in the big leagues in over a year. And I'm sure he didn't want to put him in a situation where he had to throw strikes. Now it's 3 runs down. He's got a little bit more room to make a mistake. Some people may ask, well, Elshman was a lefty. Why follow with another lefty? Number one, Elshman wasn't throwing well, but number two, the main reason is Butch Henry. This is his first appearance back in the big leagues in over a year.
1-1 pitch comes way inside. He falls behind 2-1.
Try to pick spots as a manager for your pitchers where they gain some confidence and success back. And even though Butch has had a good big league career, especially in Montreal, you haven't been out there in over a year. It's extremely difficult.
The 2-1 just misses. Eshelman went just 2/3 of an inning, allowed all 4 of the base hits this inning, although he did get out of trouble in the 5th by retiring Anderson on the pop-up. Didn't walk anybody, didn't strike out anybody. Leaves the runners aboard at first and second for Henry. The 3-1 pitch. Chop foul, 3-2.
Butch is basically a control pitcher. Changes speeds a lot, takes a little off, puts a little on, mixes in a good changeup, good little breaking ball. He does not give in to hitters. I would be surprised to see him throw a fastball over the middle of the plate here. Left-hander to left-hander here. I think it's with the base open at third.
You mentioned the arm problem, tendon transplant surgery.
Right.
August of 95 after 21 starts for the Expos. Obviously that ended his season. It takes him to now when he is 3-2. As the runners go, liner is speared by a diving Valentin, and that will be an easy inning-ending double play. Henry is bailed out big time, but the Angels lead it 4-1.
We have a big proposition for you guys. You're still playing percussion.
20th Century Fox presents
God, slow down!
the story of 4 friends.
That thing you do, is snappy. We'd like to release it.
The song that changed their lives.
We'd be on tour.
How did we get here?
That thing you do.
You are nice boys. Except maybe for you.
Written and directed by Tom Hanks. Rated PG.
On request, Hollywood's best movies. A man learns lessons of life and love in the acclaimed drama Il Postino, the Postman.
It's very important you don't stink today.
Tom Hanks directs and stars in the hit comedy That Thing You Do.
I'm gonna find out the truth, I guarantee you that.
Meg Ryan and Denzel Washington star in the acclaimed drama Courage Under Fire. Request pay-per-view delivers.
Sunday night, Manny Ramirez and the Retool Tribe tangle with Tim Salmon and the Angels. Indians Angels, the Sunday night baseball game of the week. Sunday at 8, only on ESPN.
Well, we go to the 7th inning. Dave Barnett and Kevin Kennedy in Anaheim. 4-1 Angels. And Mark Langston's night is done.
John Valentin, one thing he does have is good first step quickness and good hands, and he made a great play. He read the ball, dove to his left, made a great play.
That ended the inning on the double play. And the new pitcher is Mike James. Last year 5-5, a 2.67 ERA and a save. Allowed just 62 hits in 81 innings, 65 strikeouts, and was 6th in the league in relief earned run average. And a long trip to the major leagues, but he has made the most of his chance. And last year, one of the best middle relievers in the American League in his first full season, 29 years of age. Langston goes 6 innings, allows the only run, 3 hits, 4 walks, and strikes out 6, and they only let him go 93 pitches.
Well, I think part of the reason he just came back from the knee surgery last year, where he missed most of the year, and to start the season, get him out on a good outing. If a man got on to start this inning, he was probably going to take him out anyway, so it's better to let your reliever start with nobody on than to have him have to come in with a couple men on. And get Langston out on a positive note, it builds into your next start. 1 run in 6 innings, it's a great outing. You try to get 2 innings now out of Mike James if you can to get to Troy Percival for the 9th.
Bill Hasselman will lead off the Boston half of the 7th. Right at him with a strike. Very imposing presence that James has out there. Hitters know now he will come inside with a fastball. They'll run it inside on a right-handed hitter.
Mike's aggressive, always had a good arm. Started in the Los Angeles Dodger organization as a starting pitcher. And like a lot of guys, went elsewhere before he got to the big leagues. Dennis Springer is another one. Knuckleballer for the Angels. Both Dodger products.
Just amazing how many people who ran through the Dodger system have had great careers elsewhere, and the Dodgers still have the best staff.
Well, there's such good instruction and scouting over there. Player development.
Hitters, I've got to keep track of things like this. Here's a stat that Hasselman's got to keep in mind. James last year hit a batter every 8 innings.
And we were very well aware of that, and unintentionally, Mike Stanley got hit very seriously right here in this very ballpark.
Top foul, still 1-2.
He's one of those guys that's just wild enough where the hitter can't dig in.
What an asset that is, especially for a reliever.
Yes, he's just wild enough where you say, okay, anytime you start to get comfortable and boom, here comes a fastball in off the plate. But right now, he wants to get Hasselman out. No base runners. There it is.
There's the inside pitch. Riding right in on his fist.
And Hass, believe me, is thinking about that. We all saw Mike Stanley go down last year, and he missed a few games. He got hit in the head very seriously. And I know Mike James felt bad about that. I've known Mike for a long time personally, and no pitcher tries to hit anybody in the head.
2-2, and he seemed to take something off that one. Let's check it again with Carl Ravitch.
All right, Dave, and guess what? It works. Dave Justice in either league
can go deep against Billy Brewer. Man, does he get all of it. Second deck in Oakland, and the Indians have gone on top in what is your classic American League game, 8-6.
James' second batter will be a pinch hitter. Bragg will step in against him.
Darren was acquired in a trade with Seattle for Jamie Moyer last year and really inspired the club, put in a leadoff spot, played every day against right-handers and left-handers. He's a real scrappy type player, kind of a Lenny Dykstra type, and brought a lot to the ball club last year to help the recovery that the Red Sox had.
Darren Bragg batting in the Shane Mack's 9th position.
He's an excellent outfielder, can play center, right, or left. He'll work the count, and he actually hit a home run off of his former teammate Randy Johnson. Grand slam against him in Fenway Park.
Well, James falls behind him 3-0.
I don't know who was shocked worse, Darren Bragg or Randy Johnson, but they were both shocked.
You would get every copy of video you could and save that for every relative you have.
I think Darren did. He's a real quality guy. He's going to get a lot of playing time for Boston before it's all over this year.
Taking it 3-0, looks at a strike.
And what the Angels are doing right now, and Terry Collins, they're looking for outs. They're counting outs. When you get to the 7th inning, you've got a 3-run lead. You start counting outs. You got 8 more to go. No big innings is what I'm saying. When I say counting outs, you minimize the big inning now. Don't let yourself get in that situation.
Especially the bottom of the order, and then you're going to turn it over with little power at the top. Garcia-Parra on deck, and then Valentin.
That's right. So you've got to go right after Darren here. You've got to throw a fastball over the middle of the plate. You don't want to walk him and create something for Boston. Start the momentum to switch the other way. That's what I mean by saying no big innings. If he gets a base hit, he gets a base hit. But now you can't go too much location. Just right down the middle with a fastball. Make him hit the ball. And he walked.
Nope. Sailed outside. Bragg is aboard.
That's exactly why Darren was sent up there, to work the count, draw a walk, and that's what he did. This is where the strategy of the ball game for managers, really, the chess game really comes in. These close games, which 3 runs is a close game in the American League. Believe me.
Here's Garcia-Parra, who's flied out all 3 trips, twice to right, once to left. At the 4th walk allowed by Angel pitching. Beg your pardon, 5th walk. Langston had 4 as he struck out 6.
We talked about a slide step. Mike James has a slide step almost all the time. This is what a slide step is. He just barely lifts his left leg and goes quickly to the plate. And if you timed him, from the time he moves his left leg to the time the ball reaches home plate, he's probably around 1.0, 1.1 seconds. That's very difficult to steal off of.
Well, again, falling behind. 2 balls. And Leyritz wants a conference.
It's doubtful that Bragg would steal here, especially off of Mike James, but it's just information that coaching staffs keep for the next time you play him when you might be in a steal situation. You know you can't run very well off of Mike James. The catcher's release time from the time he receives the ball to the time he throws to second base, and average time is 2.0 seconds. So if you combine the 1.1 to 2.0, it's 3-1. And there's Chuck McElroy, left-hander for the Angels in the pen.
Leyritz apparently just saying, come on, go right after him.
Absolutely.
And, heat right there to make it 2 balls.
I'll just continue the point, Dave, of the timing of it. 3.1 seconds to get the ball from the pitcher to the catcher to second base is a very good time. A guy like Ricky Henderson on a steal would be about 3.2 down to second base.
Missed again just outside. He's behind 3-1.
That's where the timing has to be perfect. The sequence between the pitcher and the catcher and the throw and the tag at second base on steal attempts.
Valentin on deck would be the tying run. 3-1 pitch. Strike 2. Went after it and then held up, but it was on the outside corner.
Yeah, we'll find out what kind of manager Jimmy Williams wants to be right here. Garcia-Parra, for the most part, is a contact hitter. You're in a running count, but you're down 3 runs. Darren Bragg can run. He looks like he's going to run right here.
Got a good jump on that one. Ground ball barehanded by James, and he will retire Garcia-Parra. Off balance, but handled it extra smoothly.
Now that turns out to be a nice play, but many times what will happen on a ball back to the mound like that, you know DiSarcina's going to make the play somewhere. And he could have knocked the ball away and created a base runner. So that's a play. That's just an instinctive play for a pitcher. But really, it can be a dangerous play. Number one, you can get yourself hurt, fielding a ball with your bare hand. Number two, usually on those types of plays, you end up knocking the ball toward third base, and you got two base runners on. So you really have to know where your infielders are. You know DiSarcina's got that play. But on the flip side, it's just instinctive for a pitcher to react and go after every ball. But you've probably seen many times, particularly on the glove side, a ball hit a little bit to the right of the mound, a pitcher kind of go for it and knock the ball away from the second baseman who's right there into right field. That happens a lot. Very difficult to teach, though, not to do it.
Well, they've talked over Valentin, who, until the last inning, had the only Boston hit, a double in the first inning. Last inning, nearing homer, followed by the single by Cordero. They have only 3 hits. And a broken bat pop-up. It's going to go behind the Red Sox dugout. Bat goes behind the Angel dugout. Ball one way, bat the other.
Mike James has really good movement on his fastball. He always has. And when you've got power and movement, make it very difficult to watch this ball run in on Valentin. This just saws him off.
That is deadly.
Ball looks like it's going to be over the middle of the plate, and in the last 2 or 3 feet, it breaks in toward the right-hand hitter. Not a slider, it's a sinking type fastball. Right-hander to right-hander will break in, move in on the right-handed hitter.
Valentin will step back in, move on in the on-deck circle. If Valentin can get aboard. 296 a year ago, 9 of his 13 homers at home at Fenway, 59 RBIs.
Talking about being hit, John Valentin was hit 2 years ago by Tim Belcher in a hit, much like Stanley, and he has not forgotten that.
He does stand right there on top of the plate. That one just underneath the fist, but it missed. Ball on the strike. Is that a good Fenway approach, though?
For John Valentin, it's ideal. He does change his approach on the road. At home, he tries to hook the ball. And we talked about rolling over. Well, here in Fenway, John will try to roll over and hook the ball into the net in Fenway in left field.
So we have a bit of a throwback pitcher. Not everybody comes inside nearly as willingly as James. And Valentin, like so many players now, not expecting very many pitchers to challenge him inside. So he pretty much fearlessly stands as close as he can.
He gets right on top of the plate, and like I said, particularly in Fenway. Actually, John will hit the outside fastball and pull it over the net in left field in Fenway, more so than an inside fastball.
2-1 pitch almost hits him. He is fearless.
John will go right back. John's a very tough guy. He's a very strong guy mentally, what I mean by that. But you do remember, when you get hit in the head.
Two outs. Again, the 3-1 pitch. Pop foul back behind the plate.
See, the reason they're going inside there is because he's got such good movement. And they know that John he likes the ball out over the plate when he hits for his power. Not really inside. Some guys like the ball middle in, and they stay inside the ball with their hands. John likes to hook the ball when he goes for power. And the best way for him to hook the ball is a ball away from him. So they're coming right back inside again to try to jam him.
On the 3-2, lines it to the gap in left center field. This is a base hit, and coming around to score is Darren Bragg. It is 4-2 Angels.
And they jammed him right there, but John's strong enough. He got it over the shortstop's head for the base hit. And that's a big run for Boston. Here's the pitch. They're sitting up inside. Ball tailed back over the plate. Broken bat, but a base hit.
Bragg scores after reaching on the walk, and so you have what the Red Sox hoped they would create in this half of the 7th inning.
Time run at the plate here.
Mo Vaughn. Liner off the glove of James, and unable to handle it is DiSarcina. If he handles that cleanly, they get Mo at first.
There's the play I'm talking about. I like to see the replay. That play is really your infielder's ball. It's a play that the pitcher knocked again, but it's a reaction play.
Actually, should have handled it.
He should have handled it
in the inning. Should he?
Either guy could make the play. Mike should have handled that one. But if he doesn't, if it goes over his head, Alisei is right there. Mo doesn't run well. But that play he should have gone after. That play he should have handled.
Well, another conference as they discuss Mike Stanley. So Mo Vaughn wasting no time at all jumping on the first offering from James. Langston moves to second.
I've seen so many times from there's McElroy again waiting.
And we're going to have a pinch hitter as Reggie Jefferson, left-handed hitter, will step in, and that may mean we will see Mr. McElroy. Derek Collins making his way in.
Got to be McElroy here. Reggie's an outstanding hitter. Great hitter against right-handers.
James goes 2/3. Allows 1 run so far, responsible for the 2 aboard.
Nobody wants to finish second. That's why Icon Office Solutions helps you compete better. With copier systems, computer networking, and outsourcing, all designed to help your company do one thing: win. Icon Office Solutions. Work to win.
When Cooper Tire asked me to be their spokesman, I wanted to make sure it was a good match. So I took a tour of one of their factories. I found out that Cooper's been around since 1914, a time of grassroots values that still drive the company today. Hard-working folks dedicated to their craft. My kind of people, always striving to be the best. What better match? Cooper Tire. Drive on.
H&R Block works to get you every penny you have coming. And those pennies can really add up.
Someone to watch over me.
ESPN News. Peterson, he doesn't even know what ESPN is. I was like, you watch ESPN News? He was like, what? He doesn't even know what ESPN stands for. ESPN stands for it's like sports in Spanish, right?
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Cooper Tires, Drive On, and by H&R Block, someone you can count on, H&R Block.
Chuck McElroy is the new pitcher for Anaheim. Last year, excellent numbers. He was acquired in May for Lee Smith, only the all-time leader in saves. Great recovery from an awful 95 with the Reds, his 3rd team in 5 years. Fastball and a curve, setting up a forkball. Last year, at one point, beat the Royals in June 3 times in consecutive games, one of only 8 relievers ever to beat the same team 3 games in a row. And he will face the pinch hitter Reggie Jefferson with 2 men on and 2 outs in the 7th inning. 4-2 game. Angels try to stay on top by 2.
Jefferson, Reggie's an outstanding hitter, particularly against right-handers. So we got the left-hander here, but they've got to stay away from him. Reggie does drive the ball the other way, but his home run power is middle in. On the road in Fenway, it's a different story. He can hit that ball in the net going the other way. So you really play the elements here. Reggie's a low ball hitter. Going to try to throw him breaking balls away and fastballs up above his hands. You see where his hands are? You're going to try to go up the ladder on him. That's how you pitch Reggie.
Didn't go around that time. Third base umpire Tim Welke.
Now I know Jim Rice has worked with Reggie on getting his hands up a little bit because that's the one hole he has. And right now his hands are actually a little higher than they were a year ago. You see that right away. Yeah, he does. He drops his hands a little bit. But he's starting high, and then he'll go down a little bit.
1-2.
His hands are higher than a year ago.
Jefferson bounced around quite a bit. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Seattle, finally in Boston. And with Canseco and Greenwell hurt for you last year, really took advantage of his opportunity.
He had a great year. Even played some left field. 19 home runs. He'll probably go slider here. Nope.
Missed 2 and 2. Hit .320 against left-handed pitchers.
Reggie almost always hits the ball hard. He will chase breaking balls in the dirt in this situation.
McElroy working quickly, struck him out. And the threat doused in the Boston 7th, but they do get a run on the base hit by Valentin. 4-2. Headed to the Angel half of the 7th inning.
I really do have dandruff, so I did it. I took the Dinerex test. Dinerex tingled. Head and shoulders, nothing.
All these have effective dandruff medicine, but Dinerex has something extra that tingles, feels fresh.
You won't see me scratching my head in Miami.
Dinerex, the serious dandruff shampoo.
Recently, history was made through the miracle of cloning.
Correct! How much? $6.99! Any pizza, any size, any topping!
You got two?
Any pizza, any size, any toppings, $6.99!
Little Caesars, any pizza, any size, any topping, $6.99 each. Get 2 and Crazy Bread's free.
Pizza.
Something happens when people leave a Sherwin-Williams store. Sherwin-Williams store, you leave nothing to chance.
Save $4 on Classic 99 and register to win during our Inside-Outside sweepstakes.
Your Sherwin-Williams store, where to get it.
The world's a germy place. That's why you need Dial. Dial gets rid of the dirt you see. And what's more important, it kills the germs you can't see. Over the years, Dial's trusted antibacterial soaps have killed more germs than any other soap. No wonder more doctors recommend it. At the end of the day, aren't you glad you use the soap that kills germs? Aren't you glad you use Dial?
Stretch time in the 7th. McElroy does the job and preserves the 4-2 Anaheim lead. Salmon, Hollins, and Anderson do up against Butch Henry in the bottom half of the 7th inning. And staying on to play in center field is Aaron Bragg, who pinch hit for Shane Mack. Tim Salmon has struck out twice and walked.
What an important strikeout that was, too. Runner at third base, less than 2 outs. Tim swung a fastball up out of the zone.
2-5-1 for Boston, 4-9-1 for Anaheim. 1-0 pitch to Salmon. Evens the count.
Butch Henry can come back this year. He could be really big for the Boston Red Sox because he can also start. That's what he did the last few years in the big leagues. He's done both in the minor leagues. He was a pretty good starter for Montreal before he got hurt. Just coming into his own.
Pop up. And right behind second base, going to be handled by Valentin for the first out.
The thing I like about him is he changes speeds. He won't give in to the hitter. He'll throw that change up to the right-handers, and it's such an important pitch for all pitchers. Change speeds.
Nothing brewing so far tonight for Tim Salmon. Here's Dave Hollins. 0 for 2 with a walk in the 5th. Butch Henry, a starter for the Astros in the early 90s before going over to the Expos.
You throw that changeup, just get the hitters out in their front foot, off balance. It looks like a fastball. And it neutralizes them.
Two former National Leaguers facing each other. This seemed like a National League game, about an hour and a half ago.
It did, but we're at that 3-hour mark. 3 hours and about 15 minutes is a typical American League game.
This is getting ever closer to that breakoff point. 3 balls and no strikes.
You know, the league tried to get the umpires maybe to change their zone, call more strikes, but the bottom line, we touched on earlier, is pitching. You got guys today in the big leagues, more guys today that should be in the minor leagues.
Strike 1. But don't you think if they had done as they said they would and go back to the letter high strike, that has to not only help the pitchers but speed up the game?
It's part of it. It's part of it. But you have to establish that early, like Kurt Schilling did yesterday. Then as your game goes on, you're going to get a couple of more inches outside. It'll be called for strikes.
Base hit up the middle, and Dave Hollins has his first base hit as an Angel.
But, you know, you got Vaughn Eshelman, who was drafted and came out of Double-A, never really played Triple-A. He's had 2 years in the big leagues almost, and just touched Triple-A back and forth in '96. He really hasn't fully developed yet as a pitcher, and he's got good stuff. So if you send him back, you don't want to lose him. Here's the pitch to Hollins. Outside fastball, goes right up the middle with it. And that's the reason. So if you have 3 or 4 pitchers like that on your staff, and it's not anybody's fault, it's just the design of the game today with expansion and 10 and 11-man staffs that you need today in the big leagues.
Here's Garrett Anderson. 0 for 2 with a walk. Angels dealing Chili Davis to Kansas City. Left field is his. 3rd-year pro, 3rd year in the majors, native of L.A.
He hits left-handers pretty well, too, normally. Swung at a bad pitch when he faced Eshelman. This time around, facing lefty Butch Henry, he's taken the first 2 pitches.
Hit left-handers, in fact, 11 points better than he hit right-handers last year.
Right, he stays in there very well. They've got that outfield for a long time. Signed him to an extension.
Modest lead at first by Hollins. They're going to check him anyway.
With Edmonds, Garrett Anderson, and Tim Salmon, the Angels have a solid outfield for a few years to come.
And the youngest outfield in the majors.
They can get that pitching in order, get a couple of starters to complement Finley and Langston. They've got the closer in Troy Percival. He's as good as you want to see, and we're going to probably see him tonight in the 9th inning.
Good setup people, too. It's getting from
point A to point B.
Right. Finley and Langston
That's the
have
key.
no problems with the rest of the starting staff and the relievers other than a James or a Holtz and a Percival. Those are the people that may determine where the Angels go this year.
That's the whole bridge, and many people say, why do you leave a guy out there for so many pitches? Why do you do that? Well, this is the reason, because there aren't a lot of good middlemen to get to the late men. So you want to let your starter go as long as you possibly can. That's why he's a starter. He's got the best stuff.
Langston started tonight for the Angels. It was Gordon once upon a time for Boston. The 2-2 pitch, and Anderson reaches out, and that is foul right at the plate.
That's not to say that relievers don't have good stuff, because Troy Percival certainly does, but his repertoire is fastball, curveball. A starter like Langston has fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. And if you can find 5 guys like that, then you've got something. The Dodgers have 5 guys like that, but most organizations don't. They've got maybe 2 real quality starters, and they have to mix and match with the rest sometimes. You have the Atlanta Braves. They've got quality starters all the way down the line. You're facing Smoltz and Glavine and on and on and on. The
Same
Yankees,
with the Dodgers?
Dodgers, it's those 3 clubs. That's why everybody's looking for pitching. You're seeing more international pitchers now, more Japanese pitchers.
Base hit to right field. Hollins will take the turn and go on to third. They'll be on the corners for Eddie Murray.
Well, as we touched on, he's usually a really good hitter against left-handers, and he's just reached out and poked that one through the right side. Stayed right in there, really. Threw his hands at the ball. See his tail looked like it came out, but he had his hands over the plate, threw his hands at the ball, and got the barrel of the bat on it.
Third base coach Larry Boa hanging on with Hollins at third. First base hit tonight by Anderson. Murray, who singled his last trip up. The object of the discussion.
And don't expect Terry Collins to stop running now. It's only a 2-run game. 1 out, first and third. It's a double play situation. Again, Butch Henry's going to try to paint one if he can on the outside corner with a little movement to try to get Eddie to roll over one if he can possibly do it. It's Hasselman sitting outside. Missed off the plate.
Ball 1 to Murray.
Eddie is a pro, though, at this. This is where Eddie Murray is going to be valuable to the Angels. I don't care what people say about his bat speed. This guy is the best at clutch situations, driving in runs.
Even better if there was one more guy out there. Career with the bases loaded, 413. Went after that one off the helmet of Hasselman. Knocks his mask off. In fact, it is 1-1.
And Butch Henry staying with his game plan. That's one good thing about him. Like I said earlier, he's not going to give in here. He knows what Eddie Murray's capable of doing. He's not going to let him have a pitch that he can drive out of the ballpark. He's going to change speeds, try to paint him on the corners.
Among his accomplishments, he now has the major league record with 20 straight seasons, at least 75 RBIs. Aaron had it at 19. 2 balls and a strike.
Little cut fastball right there.
Last year, only 229 with runners in scoring position. Atypical for Murray. Drove in a total of 79 with the Indians in his return to Baltimore. Well, became the 3rd member, as we said, of the 500 homer, 3,000 hit club. Goes after that one and skies it to left field. Will Cordero
this
coming
should score
on.
him.
And here comes Hollins, who will score easily to make it 5-2 Anaheim. Murray does the job with the sac fly and has his first Angel RBI.
Well, here's the replay. Eddie does his job, keeps it off the ground. Butch Henry got that ball up. And you got a left fielder that's new out there with a below-average throwing arm. And it's really no contest. The ball dies once it hits the grass.
Hollins didn't even need to slide.
That's a huge run. I think, as we said, Eddie Murray, that's what he does best. That's why they acquired Eddie Murray.
And he has reached the 1,900 RBI mark and gets the standing ovation
Phenomenal.
from the crowd here in Anaheim. First RBI as an Angel is the 1900th of his 21-year amazing Hall of Fame career. Jim Leyritz, the hitter.
Be surprised at a first move here with Terry will run. He showed that in the Anaheim Freeway Series off of left-handers. And again, what that means is off a left-handed pitcher, the base runner will break as soon as the pitcher makes any movement at all. It's called a first move steal. And Terry may pick his spot with Anderson here. There's a high leg kick by Henry. The time before he went to a little bit of a shorter leg kick. The reason to try to keep Anderson close and give his catcher a chance to throw somebody out.
Fireworks literally and figuratively in this inning. They set him off after the hit by Murray, and they're just now drifting back.
Coming our way.
They were right over the field to play, and now they're right in our faces, which we appreciate. But they're owned by Disney, and they're going for the showbiz thing. They'll have a big fireworks show when it's done tonight. 1 ball and a strike. Checker Murray with 2 outs. Big run, 3-run margin with still the 8th and 9th to go.
This sequence again by Butch Henry, throwing over there twice, going quicker to the plate, is usually done by the managers today, giving a sign to the catcher to relay that to the pitchers. There's a quicker step to the plate. They're trying to stop the running game right here. They don't want another man in the scoring position.
Now, you normally would never think of Eddie Murray being a threat to go at first.
Eddie can surprise you. But that's not Eddie.
Now it's Anderson.
That's Anderson. You had me thinking.
Yeah. that didn't sound.
But Eddie can too,
right.
Believe it or not. Eddie will fall asleep and he'll go on in. Obviously, Terry Collins, it doesn't matter who's out there at first base. He's doing this on the situation, not who the base runner is.
Chopper is going to be handled by the pitcher Henry on to Vaughn to end the inning. But the sac fly by Murray scores Hollins and makes it a 3-run game, 5-2 as we head to the 8th inning.
Master is velocity, measure of the flow, compression of the pad, absorb the nasty flow. Geometric matrix, chamber full of air, control cushioning, dead Herman Silver deer. To a lateral stability, to a return the energy. The technology to a performance man is a serious thing. To a lateral stability, to a return the energy again. To a
More people who make a living with their tools buy their tools at the Home Depot. And with our incredible selection, all at guaranteed low prices, it's a pretty powerful argument for why you should shop here too. The Home Depot, where people who know their stuff buy their stuff.
Polished brass has always had one problem. Until now. Delta introduces Brilliance, the extraordinary new polished brass finish that's guaranteed to shine for life. New Brilliance from Delta, the faucet.
Mom, Dad, you were always there for me when I was growing up. And I'd like to always be there for you, but I won't.
What's the problem?
Well, I just never got around to investing any money.
Oh, dear.
Hey, older people are getting more active all the time. To be honest, I think that's what's wrong with this country. It just doesn't realize how valuable you old folks are. Plenty of good jobs out there for hardworking people like yourselves. Now you two get out there and make me proud.
Don't let this happen to you. Plan with Alliance today. You, your financial advisor, and Alliance Capital, one of the largest investment managers in the world.
Northwest has a network that will take me any place I need to go. That might be Boston one day and Beijing the next. Deanna, they say to me, some people just know how to fly. Go fly.
Yesterday, Curt Schilling was masterful as he shut down the Dodgers. Tonight, Hideo Nomo did his job, and so did Darren Dreifer. Here, the final out of the game. Nomo goes 7, strikes out 8. Mondesi, 3 for 4, 4 RBIs. Dodgers and Phillies, each one up and one down.
Dodgers yesterday got 1 ball out of the infield against Schilling. They bounce back tonight. Red Sox try to bounce back. They've got only 2 more cracks, and this really may be their last true chance because you know who's coming to the ninth.
Troy Percival.
Neri, Cordero, Pemberton due up top of the 8th inning. Chuck McElroy struck out the only man he faced, Reggie Jefferson, to close out the 7th. Boston before that had managed its 2nd run on the RBI single by Valentin against Mike James. 1-1 pitch is lined to right, a base hit for Nehring, who is 2 for 4 tonight.
That's why Tim Nehring's such a good hitter. He just takes what the pitcher gives him. Time before off of Langston, he tried to come in for a 2nd time and he hit a home run. This time McElroy goes up and away and Timmy just slaps it in the right field. That's what we touched on earlier in the ball game. He'll try to pick spots, and when he does make a mistake, he's gonna make outs like everybody else, but he makes adjustments at the plate, and that's how you learn how to hit. That's how you become a good hitter.
Will Cordero, the left fielder, 1 for 3, struck out in the 2nd and 4th against Langston. Single his last time up.
Tim Nehring is not a running threat right here. I'd even play behind him to give the first baseman better range in case the ball's hit through that hole. This Cordero can go the other way.
The outfield plays him to go the other way, but Erstad hanging right on the bag.
And they need base runners now. 1 more base runner brings the tying run to the plate. So I'd play behind him. Nehring is no threat to steal.
One ball and 1 strike.
And with a hitter like Cordero, who likes to use the holes, he likes to go the other way when the situation dictates, this is the time to play behind him. It really is. And I know Terry Collins will know that the more he manages against his club.
Right after that one did not catch up to the heat for McElroy, and it's 1-2. Good young player, Will Cordero, just 25, but in his 5th major league season already out of Mayagüez, Puerto Rico.
Many people in the organization, when they made that trade, thought he could play second base with Valentin being the shortstop. Just didn't work out. Actually, Will was playing better when he got hurt and broke his leg from a slide from George Williams of Oakland, and that ended his season. And now he's a left fielder.
Whether he likes it or not. 2-2 pitches high and away. 3-2. Pemberton, the on-deck hitter.
Again, 3 runs down. Now we'll see if Jimmy Williams elects to put Naring in motion. He's not a good base stealer. He's a good base runner, but he's not fast. He's not a good base stealer.
Not going. Lined hard to left. Anderson backing up and in front of the warning track hauls it in for the first out.
And what that means when I talk about not a good base stealer means he doesn't have good foot speed on a straight steal like that situation. So if there was a strikeout there, most likely they throw him out. But he is a good base runner on base hits to the outfield. He goes very, very well from first to third because he cuts the angles going around second base and reads the outfielders well. He knows where they are. So he's a good base runner, but not a good base stealer.
Here's Rudy Pemberton. 0 for 3 tonight. He is the 10th different starting right fielder in the last 10 opening days for the Boston Red Sox.
Unbelievable.
The turnstile turns his way this year.
Dwight Evans was there for so long and so many people got spoiled.
Yeah, now nobody can hold that job down.
2 years ago, Mark Whitten was acquired, and the thinking was that he could be the right fielder for several years. He has the arm to do it in Fenway Park, where it's very deep in right field. But Mark just never got unwound in Boston and was traded and had some success last year, particularly with Seattle, where he played very well.
1-1 pitch, just foul behind first. Pemberton from the baseball factory of San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic probably has produced per capita more baseball players than any area in the world, I got to think, specializing in shortstops.
That's why so many scouts go in there. So many organizations have tapped the talent there.
Off speed to retire Pemberton for out number 2 in the Boston half of the 8th.
It's a good backdoor breaking ball to Pemberton, and a backdoor breaking ball, you throw it on the outer part of the plate and try to drop back on the back foot, his right foot, as opposed to what Langston was throwing earlier, which is a breaking ball down and into right-handers. That particular one almost came around the plate and caught the outside corner. So it's 2 different locations if you can do it when you throw your breaking ball. That one's called a back door. Some people call it a back foot. We used to call it back door as catchers. And
Marcel Latchman out the brief word with Chuck McElroy is the catcher Hasselman will be the batter. Walked and struck out twice. And looks at a strike. Once backed up Troy Aikman at UCLA. Foul at the plate, no doubt part of how he became such a fierce competitor. Good handler of pitchers, as we discussed.
Hass is quiet on the field, but very professional, very intense.
Got him on strikes, and McElroy retires the last 2 on strikes after the single by Naring, and we go to the bottom of the 8th. Still the Angels by 3.
Still waiting for the perfect floor? Ooh. New Formica flooring. Looks like wood. Wears like iron.
It's a game with unmatched history.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Filled with great players and great moments. Now, Sports Illustrated brings you SI's exclusive classic baseball collection. You'll get the extraordinary 2-video box set, The History of Baseball, and the classic baseball cap of your choice, both free with your paid subscription to SI. Choose your cap from any of 4 historic teams. The Brooklyn Dodgers of 1955, the 1951 New York Giants, the 1975 Boston Red Sox, or the legendary New York Yankees. Call now and get SI's classic baseball collection free when you order 54 issues of SI for only $1.48 an issue. Save over 55% off the cover price. Use your credit card. miss out on the classic baseball collection from Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
Mets bullpen did them in yesterday against the Padres. John Franco trying to preserve a one. No. Tony Gwynn, professional hitter. Ricky Henderson from second as Gilkey boots it up there. 4-4 now, and they are in extras. The Mets 2 down in the top of the 10th.
And a new pitcher in the bottom half of the 8th inning here in Anaheim. 5-2. Red Sox leaving 8 aboard. Langston was strong. 6 innings, just 3 hits, 1 run. Struck out 6. We saw Eddie Murray get his 1900th career RBI to sac fly. And on to work the bottom half of inning number 8 is Pat Mahomes, 26-year-old right-hander. Last year 3-4 with a 6.91 ERA, and in just over 57 innings, Kevin allowed 13 home runs.
Well, he's a high fastball pitcher, and when he makes a mistake up out over the plate, you're going to be susceptible to getting the ball in the air with the power hitters, and that's why he's given up so many home runs. You'll notice probably right out of the chute here, he throws some high fastballs. He can strike you out up there, but he can also give up some home runs.
Bottom of the order, Gary DiSarcina, 2 for 3 with a run scored. Takes the strike.
There's a little breaking ball right there. Now he's got a different leg kick than last year as well. I can see that he's got a full. He's going to lift it up about even with his body. There's a high fastball.
And a weak pop up, which Mo Vaughn will handle in foul ground.
Mahomes is not what you call a ground ball pitcher. He's a fly ball pitcher or a strikeout pitcher. Because if you make a mistake up, he can get hit out, but you can also strike out those hitters by going up out of the zone. So you can pop them up or strike them out.
Darren Herstadt, leadoff hitter, still looking for his first base hit, has struck out twice in 4 trips. Alicea had 2 hits and a run scored in the on-deck circle. Right after the first pitch, and skies this one for Bragg, and straightaway center field for out number 2.
Mahomes is one of those guys that pretty much is going to go right at you. There's no fooling around. It's going to be fastball, curveball once in a while, but mostly fastballs.
Had good minor league numbers with the Twins, never really stuck with them, and you got him with Boston late last year.
And saved a couple of games late in the year. Actually did a pretty good job.
You even used him 5 times as a starter.
Started occasionally. He started in the minor leagues. Came up the Twins organization, started for Tom Kelly over there. Never really panned out. They found the most success in Minnesota was in the bullpen and long relief. And now he's up in the zone a little bit. This is where he's gotten himself into trouble. He's lacked the consistency in the major leagues so far. He's had some decent minor league numbers.
2-0 delivery and going right after it. Right into the lower level of the upper deck, and apparently a very poor effort by whoever had a shot at
booted it up there.
Man, are they blistering.
He'll go right after LSA again here.
Another pop up, and Naring, drifting over near the dugout, will not be able to handle this one. Guy with a hat couldn't either. Now they're all over him. They are unforgiving in Anaheim Stadium.
They want to see some defense. They want to see some plays made.
Opening night crowd expected around 30,000 in the newly renovated look. It holds 34,000 this year. Will be finished by this time next year, about 45,000. Good looking park. Baseball only now, with the Rams gone to St. Louis. Breaking ball for strike 3 and a 1-2-3. 8th inning work by Pat Mahomes. We go to the 9th. Angels leading by 3.
Keep your eyes on your mailbox in April. TCI's Cable Advantages coupon booklet will be exploding with discounts from local businesses. Discounts on everything from medical services to furniture stores, service for your car, and mortgage advice. Even specials with an internet provider. TCI's Cable Advantages coupon booklet will be arriving in your mailbox with your April cable bill. So look for these special values. TCI Media Services. Advertising that delivers even more.
Coach Parcells, is it true you're coming back to the Brogan Cadillac of Ridgewood team this year?
Look, how many times do I have to answer that question? I told you, I'm a Jersey guy, and Brogan Cadillac of Ridgewood has always been my hometown dealer. My family and I have been coming here for over 20 years.
Why Brogan, Coach?
Because Brogan Cadillac of Ridgewood has the integrity and reputation I'm proud to be associated with.
Now back to the studio.
Luxury costs less. Test drive the all-new Catera starting at $29,995.
Brogan Cadillac of Ridgewood is my hometown dealer.
Nobody wants to finish second. That's why Icon Office Solutions helps you compete better. With copier systems, computer networking, and outsourcing, all designed to help your company do one thing: win. Icon Office Solutions. Work to win.
Top of the 9th inning, and Troy Percival, as expected, making his usual appearance. Last year 0-2, but a 2.31 ERA and 36 saves and 39 chances. 4th in the American League. He, in fact, led the league with a 92% save percentage and was almost impossible to hit. 149, the lowest batting average allowed by an American League reliever last year. He will throw to a new catcher, Jorge Fabregas, who has come on to replace Jim Leyritz.
What you're going to see here from Percival is gas. This guy was an ex-catcher, converted a few years ago, actually about 6 years ago. Angels did a good job in that conversion. Percival's done a good job in it. And he's established himself as one of the better closers in the game. He's got a good, hard, live 97, 98 mile an hour fastball to go with a hard, sharp breaking curveball. He does a little ritual on the mound here, does a little prayer to himself, which is common for him every time out there before he takes the mound.
Not quite the Al Raboski routine.
Times have changed.
But he's ready to work the Darren Bragg.
Remember Hershiser, after they won the World Series in '88, the Dodgers, you know, praying, thanking God.
First pitch to Bragg is a strike. Percival, when he worked last year, made the Angels a completely different team. They were 46-16 of the games he pitched, 24-75 the other days.
Troy can literally just overpower even a good major league hitter. He throws that hard. He really does.
Why do you figure he was not a pitcher till 1991?
Well, he was a catcher, and you know, you want a good arm behind the plate as well. He probably didn't hit as much in the minor leagues, and that's what good player development does. And I think the Angels get credit for that, as well as Troy Percival, for recognizing he wasn't going to hit enough to play in the big leagues, but let's do something with that arm. If you can't do it at the plate, send him out 60 feet 6 inches away to pitch, reverse it.
A little bit high, and it's 1-2 to Bragg. So he was 21 years of age before he ever took the mound. Now as tough as they come as a closer.
And little things like holding runners and feeling his position are still a problem for him, but he doesn't have too many base runners on. Those are things that in time he'd be better at. But he's got gas.
Bragg barely able to stay alive.
He also supplies the power, and when good hitters do catch up with one, they'll hit it a long way. They'll hit it a long way. And Albert Bell proved that last year when he got him in Anaheim. But that number you said, 92% conversion of saves, that is an outstanding number, a good number for a good reliever in closing ball games. If you save about 83% of your ball games, that's considered a very good number. So 92%, you can imagine, is that much better. That's the best. It's first in save percent. Rick Aguilera had an 83% conversion ratio in his career when he was a closer.
Fabregas, a very brief word with him. What do you think that was about?
Well, to see if you may want to drop a breaking ball on Darren Bragg here, or go right back after him, most likely, just to see what he wants to throw. He's got to count 1 and 2 where he can, if he wants to, he can drop a hard breaking ball and try to get him to chase.
You're going to see that pitch. You usually look for it when you are ahead in the count, as he is.
Absolutely.
Here.
If he does, he'll come right back with a fastball 2 and 2.
The 1-2 pitch is the breaking ball, and he misses right at the ankles.
And that's what that conversation was about. And I have no doubt in my mind you're going to see gas here, 2-2. You're going to go right back to the fastball. That was just to see if Darren would chase it, give him a chance to work on his breaking ball. Just one pitch there on a 1-2 count. Now it's going to be all fastballs.
Matter of whether you can catch up to it. And Bragg can't.
And that's a good sequence. It gives Percival confidence that maybe once in a while he's going to need that 1-2 breaking ball. And then he come back. When you get even in a count, you want to go right back to your strength. And that's his fastball. And that had a little tail on it going away. Just blew it by him. And Darren's a decent fastball hitter. That just blew it right by him. Terry's got to be feeling good about having this guy.
Nomar Garciaparra is 0 for 4. Last time up, a Sterling play by James, barehanding his shot up the middle. Strike one to Nomar.
Well, Percival doesn't look like he was hurting at all this spring to me. If he could throw like this on opening day, but apparently he was. And they're glad they have him back. He blew that one by Nomar. Nomar can chase the high fastball too.
Tried to, missed it, 0-2.
That's where you pitch him. Go right up the ladder on him.
Better than 12 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched last year by Troy. That was the best ratio of any reliever.
I think he'll go right back up the ladder, which means you go up, but just a notch higher. Now he's going outside. We'll see. Yeah, the catcher was sitting outside, but Troy went in. And what I mean by saying up the ladder, you go one notch higher than you did the time before, and a lot of times hitters will chase that. If Nomar has one weakness, that's one thing he'll do. He'll chase high fastballs.
1-2 pitch to him. Not a bat on it. Sends it foul. Out of play. Still 1-2. Well, first American League managerial experience by Terry Collins, and I think more than living up to his billing.
I think very impressive for Terry opening day, for the fans in Anaheim, for his ball club. Showing that he's going to run at any time. He's going to not sit back. He's going to let guys do things and show him as a manager that they can't do things. He's going to let them play until they show him he can't.
Again the 1-2, and again foul.
And there's that breaking ball again, 1-2, and he'll probably go right back upstairs with a fastball. But Terry's very impressive, and having been let go, as we touched on at the top of the broadcast, by Houston for being too fiery and too aggressive is the exact reason the Angels hired him, and he's proved out right tonight.
1-2 pitch sails over his head. Mercy did that one ever get away. That would make your life flash in front of you.
You couldn't even chase that one. That was too quick. He's just trying to go up and in. He knows that's a hole that Nomar has, and just got away from him. And he really didn't finish his pitch there. You saw the finish on his deliveries. Percival kind of just stayed straight up.
Don't look for Nomar to be digging in on this one, though, at 2-2. Just got a piece.
And they know where to go on Nomar. It's not to say Nomar's not a good hitter. He is. But all hitters will have one weakness normally that you're going to go to try to put him away. And that's where they're trying to get him right now.
Another 2-2 pitch, swung on and missed.
They did. And for the Red Sox, I think they're going to hit this year. The pitching's going to be the key for them. Tommy Gordon takes the #1 role. Clemens has gone to Toronto, where he won today, pitching 8 strong innings. There's the high fastball. Just above the letters, just enough for the hitter it's tough to get to.
Last hope for Boston, John Valentin.
Especially if you hold your hands a little bit low. That's tough to get to. John holds his hands high. Valentin holds his hands high and will try to swing down through the ball.
Valentin tonight is 2 for 3, a double in the first inning, RBI single in the 7th, and he walked in the 3rd. The only time he was retired, he grounded to short in the 5th. And that one is fair and headed toward the corner. Valentin will take extra bases and aboard with 2 outs with his second double of the game.
John's got 3 hits tonight, and he's obviously not going to let the effects of moving to second base alter his play. He's a professional. He's going to adapt to second base. He keeps his hands high and goes right down through the ball. He put his hands at the top of the zone, as you saw in that replay. Had no hitch to it and went right down through that high fastball. Other guys will try to swing up at the high fastball and miss it. John stayed on top of it. He likes to put his hands up and set his hands at the top of his strike zone.
Well, he is, without question, the hitting star of the opener for the Sox. And here's Mo Vaughn, whose only base hit was last time up. 1 for 3, walked in the first, a ground out, and a strikeout. RBI situation against one of the best in the game, and Percival way wide with his first offering. Vaughn, again, a good bet to either walk, strikeout, or homer. Almost half the time, one of those 3 resulted from an at-bat by Mo Vaughn last year.
And this is one guy that that Percival has had a little bit of trouble with. Mo's 2 for 3 off him lifetime. Only 3 at-bats, a couple of base hits. But that's saying a lot if you can do that against Troy Percival. And Mo keeps his hands at the top of his strike zone, but where Mo is different from Valentin is he crouches over and will try to lift the ball and sometimes chase a high fastball as well.
Percival at 2-0 coming inside, nails down the corner for his first strike.
And that's why you see Mo hit a lot of long, high Statue of Liberty type home runs. He's just so powerful. He'll get underneath the ball when he gets it, and you'll see those long, high home runs as opposed to a line drive home run like a Juan Gonzalez.
2-1 pitch is out of play. Count to Mo Vaughn even with 2 outs and Valentin aboard. On deck Jefferson, who would be the tying run if he can get a shot against Troy Percival.
There's that swing right there where Mo swings up at the ball. That's where he has a lot of his success. That's just Mo Vaughn's style of hitting.
On their feet in Anaheim Stadium, hoping this is going to do the job and close out Troy Percival's first save of 1997. But he misses high and the count runs full.
And the tying run is on deck. Reggie Jefferson.
Again, and Vaughn is aboard, and the tying run will come to the plate in the person of Reggie Jefferson.
And Mo's given his teammates a chance to tie the ball game here by drawing that walk. 2 years ago, Mo might have chased that pitch, but last year, after a tough year in '95 in the playoffs where he went 0 for 13, he learned more discipline in '96, started to take more walks and give the guys behind him a chance to do some damage.
Now this is a trip Marcel Latchman no doubt never expected to have to make, especially after he struck out Bragg and Garcia Parra without incident to begin the 9th inning.
Well, you learn as a pitching coach and manager not to take anything for granted. That's why people may think from the outside the game's over when it's a 3-run lead, but as you know, you learn in the American League especially, it's never over. Don't take anything for granted.
Jefferson, good power. 19 homers last year, 24 total in his 2 years in 507 at-bats with the Red Sox. Right after the first offering, 0-1.
And Reggie's definitely got a different stance this year, especially against a high-powered fastball pitcher. He's standing up a little straighter. He's got his hands a little bit higher because he knows Percival's going to throw the ball up on him. So Reggie's trying to make an adjustment here. That's what you have to do in the major leagues to succeed.
0-2.
And what that does for Reggie, that enables him to get on top of the ball and quicken his bat. He goes right to the ball. He puts his hands at the top of his particular strike zone. He knows that anything above his hands is a ball. And mentally, you try to lay off anything above his hands. That's why he's standing up straighter right now.
Fans on their feet
try to
again.
catch up with this fastball.
0-2 pitch. Rides high, 1-2.
A lot of hitters, Valentin, Moe, and Jefferson, all three in this innings, put their hands at the top of their strike zone. They tell themselves not to swing at anything below their hands. That's a credit to Jimmy Rice, the hitting instructor.
Chopper is going to be, attempting the one-handed pickup was Hollins, and it had a little extra English and spun behind him, and the bases are loaded for Tim Naehring.
Well, Reggie got on top of the ball and hit a chopper. You don't see him do that very often, but watch him. His hands are at the top of his zone. He got on top of that ball, which is what he wanted to do, because normally Reggie is susceptible to the high fastballs.
Didn't come up. Hollins expected to be able to make the barehanded stab and just overruns it, so they are loaded up with 2 outs for Tim Naehring.
You know, and even though that wasn't a great base hit, that's a good at-bat by Reggie, because that's an adjustment. Normally Percival has pretty good success against a guy like Reggie Jefferson, who's a low ball hitter.
Naehring last 2 trips homered and singled. Strike 1. First 2 grounded into a fielder's choice to end the first, struck out to end the third. And Ken Kaiser lost his cap on that one. Jeff Fry is on to pinch run at first base for Jefferson. Vaughn is aboard at second. Valentin is at third. So the go-ahead run, unlikely as it seemed a couple of hitters ago, is at the plate to face last year the most effective closer in the American League. Now back, and again Percival is 0-2, but he's been unable to close out every chance he's had with 2 strikes.
That's a good quick swing by Tim Naehring. You've got to shorten your bat when you're facing a guy like Percival, who throws almost close to 100 miles an hour, 98, 99, 97, right in that range. That's as hard as it gets. So you've got to swing quicker, and Naehring did that on that particular swing. He didn't have a long swing. Naehring has a short swing anyway.
Missed inside, 1-2.
Now
keep him loose.
Now the question is, as a catcher and pitcher here, you go all the way with your strength, power fastball, or try to drop a curveball on Naehring. I say you go all the way with your fastball. You go power against power here.
Don't want to bounce the curve.
He tried to bounce one.
Bounced it, and it's blocked by Fabregas.
The good thing is he bounced it, and that's the key. If he had hung that curve there and Naehring hit it out, believe me, Terry Collins would have a few words to say to him.
Bounced, but blockable.
Blockable. Bouncing it is fine there. And that's the question. They elected to bounce one just for show.
Right back inside and misses again, and the count runs full again. "28 pitches. The Red Sox have forced Troy Percival to throw in the 9th inning.
Now, I gotta believe he's going to go fastball again.
And missed again, and he walks home the 3rd run for Boston. Valentin home. It's 5-3, and they're still loaded. And Will Cordero is due up.
Now, here's a guy that many considered in the National League to be one of, if not the best fastball hitter in the National League 2 years ago. So this would be an interesting matchup. Now you're really going power against power, because Cordero can hit anybody's fastball.
Will Cordero, Kevin, last year 2nd in the American League with the bases loaded, hit .615.
And hit a lot of balls the other way with the bases loaded, into right center and some down the right field line.
Ball 1.
And Troy's just overthrowing right now. He's flying. His left shoulder is flying.
Just too pumped, do you think, opening day?
He's too pumped right now trying to finish this game off. His left shoulder is flying. He's leaving his arm underneath and causing the ball to go up and in on those right-handers. You got to stay closed a little longer, lead with his hips, let his upper half come over and follow.
2-0. This all started with a Valentin double after Bragg and Garcia-Parra had both struck out swinging. Vaughn then walked. Infield hit by Jefferson. And Naring, with the bases loaded walk, scored Valentin. Another conference with Fabregas out.
And this should be what Fabregas is trying to say to him. Since a trip was already made by Latchman, they can't make another trip to the mound or he has to come out of the ball game. So your catcher really has to help you here and calm you down. Help him not to overthrow. Just try to get a ball down in the zone. Catcher sometimes has to exaggerate. If you're leaving that ball up and in so much, a catcher really should start sitting outside and exaggerate it even more to try to bring him over on the outside part of the plate.
2-0 pitch. Ball 3. Now Fabregas replacing Leyritz, to whom Percival has never thrown. New catcher. Pulled by a guy that he is familiar with.
That's exactly, I'm sure, the reason that Terry Collins did that. Fabregas has caught him many times, knows him better than anybody on their staff. Now he pulled that one over in the outside corner. That's what Fabregas has to do, and that's what Troy's got to do. If you're missing 2-3 feet to the inside part of the plate, the catcher has to move out on the outside part of the plate even further, even if he's out of the zone.
3-1 pitch, swung on and missed, and again he is 3-2. Couldn't get Vaughn, couldn't get Jefferson or Naring.
Just as hitters make adjustments on Percival, he's got to make an adjustment on these hitters.
The 3-2, missed it, walks home another run. It is 5-4. Can you believe this?
Seen it before in the American League many, many times. Terry's holding his cool pretty good there, but I know what he's feeling inside. But you've got your best out there. You win it or lose it with your best. This is their guy.
Here's Rudy Pemberton. Terry Collins had to think when this inning starts, it's all over. I've gotten to my closer.
You got to feel pretty good with a 3-run lead with Percival coming up in the bottom of the order.
I mean, it's over.
9-1-2.
92% of the time last year it was over. Starts Pemberton with a strike. He ducks. Looking a little bit intimidated. Bailing out on strike 1.
And Rudy's an aggressive hitter. Sometimes hitters like this are dangerous because they can hit the ball anywhere. And they're bad ball hitters sometimes. They can hit the ball out of the zone. He's going to be hacking. Oh, he hit him.
That one hit him. And we are tied at 5-5. Well, Troy Percival has completely lost contact with the strike zone. I think Collins is out to replace him. This may be the only time this year this happens with Troy Percival.
It's opening day.
2 strikeouts to begin the inning, and he walks the bases loaded and walks home 2 runs, and now has hit Pemberton to drive in the third. Pemberton obviously shaken up with the force of that ball in the high 90s, and there goes Percival. Pemberton driving home a pitch the hard way, but we're tied at 5, and we're still on the top of the 9th.
It's a game with unmatched history.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Filled with great players and great moments. Now, Sports Illustrated brings you SI's exclusive classic baseball collection. You'll get the extraordinary 2-video box set, The History of Baseball, and the classic baseball cap of your choice, both free with your paid subscription to SI. Choose your cap from any of 4 historic teams. The Brooklyn Dodgers of 1955, the 1951 New York Giants, the 1975 Boston Red Sox, or the legendary New York Yankees. Call now and get SI's classic baseball collection free free when you order 54 issues of SI for only $1.48 an issue. Save over 55% off the cover price. Use your credit card. Don't miss out on the classic baseball collection from Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
Miss the Service Star and Coast to Coast Great American Fix-Up Sale. A Rubbermaid bush broom only $6.94. A Chapin Poly Sprayer is just $9.94. The things that do-it-yourselfer needs are at Service Star and Coast to Coast stores.
Well, you never expected to hear this, but Pep Harris is on to try and keep the Angels in this one after Troy Percival has allowed Boston to tie the game in the top half of the ninth inning after he had 2 outs. Nobody on, but Valentin got to him for a double. Vaughn worked him for a walk. Jefferson an infield hit, and then consecutive RBI walks to Nehring and Cordero. Following that, he hits Rudy Pemberton. And they are still loaded up for Pep Harris, who no doubt never expected to be in this situation tonight. 24-year-old right-hander, 2-0 last year in 11 appearances, a .390 ERA. 8 of the appearances were in relief. Ex-property of the Indians, picked up in trade for Brian Anderson. And pinch hitter is going to be Troy O'Leary.
Troy's a good fastball hitter. He'd be looking for a first pitch fastball here, and if it's over the plate, I think he'll swing at it.
He bats for Hasselman, and he looks at strike one.
And the Angels obviously knew that, dropped a curveball on him. Troy's a very aggressive hitter.
Percival goes 2/3, 2 hits, 3 walks. Struck out 2, and a hit batter finishes him off. Chop fair. Hollins with the long throw, not in time, and the go-ahead run comes home. Tim Nehring gives Boston a 6-5 lead.
Well, and a couple things happened this inning. A couple of choppers. That one for the go-ahead, and one earlier. I believe it was Mo Vaughn. There's not a whole lot. Hollins did as good a job as he could do. That's one of those swinging bunts, as we call on the bench.
Go-ahead run came home with Nehring, and the man who started this inning by striking out against Percival, Darren Bragg, back up with the bases still loaded, and strike 1 to Darren. 4-run night for the Red Sox. Terry Collins has got to be dazed. Jimmy Williams has got to be absolutely stunned and elated all at once.
When you manage in the major leagues long enough, again, I'll re-emphasize this, you learn not to take anything for granted. That's why you see managers pace in the 9th inning with 3-run leads, 2-run leads, no matter who's out there. And that should end it.
Pop up right at the plate. And Fabregas puts it away, but the Angels fail to finish him off with their ace closer, Troy Percival, going wild and replaced by Harris, who finally brings it in to the 9th inning. Boston tries to finish it off when we come back.
If you're itching to get in the game, head to Sneaker Stadium. It's huge. We've got 40,000 shoes in every shape, size, style, and color. That's 5 times more than you'll find anywhere else. All the top brands, plus a basketball court and indoor track. You've never had more fun buying athletic footwear for every sport. That's what Sneaker Stadium's all about. Plus, your 13th pair is always free. Sneaker Stadium. Get in the game. Get in the game!
Olympic gold medals and 10 world titles between them. One legend who's pound for pound the best. One superstar who's ready for the test. The paths of 2 great champions finally cross. Live on pay-per-view, Caesars Palace presents Pernell Whitaker versus Oscar De La Hoya. The showdown to decide pound for pound who is the best.
Soccer sure has changed since I played. 30-foot rises. Contracting goals. nothing like we could have ever imagined. And it all started with All Sport.
All Sport, with a third more carbs than Gatorade. The game will never be the same.
Heathcliff Slocum is on to try to do what Troy Percival failed to do, and that is finish off an improbable victory for the Boston Red Sox, who took the lead with a 4-run ninth inning. Slocum last year, 31 saves, 5-5 record, 3.02 ERA, 88 strikeouts, and 83 and a third innings pitched. A little bit wild at times. He allowed 55 walks, but only 2 home runs.
As a major league manager, you can do everything right. You try to put, like Terry Collins did tonight, try to put everybody in the right situation for success. He got to the point that he wanted to get to with Troy Percival. And then the players just have to perform. And Jimmy Williams did the same thing. He put the pinch hitters up there, the best matchups he could possibly get. And that's what makes managing in the major leagues highly emotional and extremely difficult. You can have all the numbers and all the stats and all the percentages you want, but it comes down to human beings that have to perform with the game on the line. And most of the time, Percival's going to do it. But tonight it didn't happen.
New catcher is on, Scott Hatteberg. Hasselman pinch hit 4. And the heart of the order due up for the Angels, 3, 4, 5 hitters, Edmonds, Salmon, and Hollins. Edmonds homered in the first, singled in the third. Grounded out each of his last 2 appearances. And the first pitch from Slocum over for a strike.
Now Slocum was also a converted player to become a closer. He was an outfielder with a great throwing arm. And that change was made when he was in the minor leagues, and now he's a closer in the big leagues.
Ground ball right side, and it is handled by Valentin to Vaughn for the first out. So Tim Salmon will step in.
And that really takes the wind out of you as an offensive club hitting right now, the Angels, when they think they've got the win. 3-run lead in the 9th. Now you've got to change your emotions. Even though you have your heart of your order coming up, it makes it very difficult. But you're going to have a lot of this in the major leagues. A lot of games like this are decided in the 9th inning.
Broken back ground ball, and this time it is Garcia Parra, and the throw to Vaughn requires a tag, but he makes the tag. Out number 2. Wow.
Well, Garcia Parra has great tools. What he did here is throw the ball a little bit 3/4, throws the ball sidearm, and he's underneath the ball, and the ball sails away from him. Mo makes a great play, catches the ball and tags him going by. Garcia Parra many times will throw that way. That's just the way. That's just his throwing mechanics.
Last gas time for the Anaheim Angels. Dave Hollins is 1 for 3. Last 2 trips up, walked, and then singled and scored in the 7th. What looked to be the insurance run for the Angels.
Well, that's exactly why every run's important. You can go back and say, well, Salmon had a runner at third base, less than 2 outs, a big strikeout by Tom Gordon. Every run's important. And this is a pretty well-played game overall, both sides. A well-managed game.
Slocum has run the count 3-0 to Hollins. That one misses low, and the tying run is aboard.
Now Jimmy Williams he remembered what just happened to Terry Collins. Believe me, Jimmy Williams has been through this before. And Garrett Anderson hit 12 home runs last year and has power to win this game.
Anderson tonight 1 for 3. Walking a single in between pop to the first baseman. Grounded unassisted to Vaughn as well. That one over for a strike.
Slocum's normal repertoire is good hard fastball in the mid-90s, hard slider, and a split. And where he started having success last year is when he used his fastball more. There were times when he went to his slider too many times early in the '96 season and he got beat. And made some adjustments and used his fastball more and had a very good second half.
It really came on. Last 22 appearances, 15 for 16 saves and less than a 1 ERA, 0.94. Chop foul 1-2.
Slocum has good movement on his fastball. That's what makes him so hard to hit. So as a closer, he really doesn't need 3 or 4 pitches to try to trick anybody. As long as he can have pretty good location with that pitch, it'll run
pretty much
away
straight.
from him.
Kevin's pretty much straight away outfield, and O'Leary has stayed in to play right. There are some holes for Anderson to shoot for out there if he can get one he likes. 1-2 pitch. Ground ball. Valentin with the off-balance throw, and it's not in time. And the go-ahead run, the game-winning run, is aboard in the person of Anderson.
And here comes Eddie Murray.
Mr. 1900 RBI is going to come up. One more look at the job by Anderson to get aboard.
Well, that's a base hit all the way off the bat. Valentin makes a great play just to get to that ball. There was no way Garciaparra was going to get to it. It was on the right side of second base. And Anderson runs fairly well. And off the bat, that hit one of those holes you were talking about. We got another infield hit. Well, Boston had 2 infield hits in the top of this inning. And now the Angels have one.
Ball 1 to Murray. For a team now owned by the Disney Corporation, what a storybook fairy tale ending this would be if Murray could come through again. Last time up, he brought Hollins home with a sacrifice fly in the 7th. 2-0.
Well, this is what the Angels paid Eddie Murray for and signed him for, to bring his presence to situations like this. When you have 500 home runs and 1,900 RBIs and 3,000 hits, you're definitely not scared up there. You've been there many times before, and you know what to do in this situation. He's trying to tie or win the ball game and not swing at a bad pitch. He knows that Slocum can be wild, and he's going to lock in and try to get something that he can drive middle in. Consequently, right now, they can't be too fine because they don't want to load the bases.
2-0 pitch.
And he got his pitch.
Went right after that, sends it into the mezzanine. Fabregas waiting on deck.
That's where you say good old country hardball. It's me against you, power against power, and that's what Slocum did there, and that's what Eddie Murray did with his swing. Good fastball and a good swing.
Worked for Percival until he lost all contact with the strike zone, and that one sails wide. 3-1.
And now Slocum's flying a little bit too soon as well. Left shoulder is leading and flying away from the hitter as opposed to driving toward the hitter. That's why the ball is sailing up and away. The body will fall where the left shoulder goes. It's got to go right toward the plate.
Just going to say, is it starting to look like a repeat of what befell Percival in the top half of this inning? They are loaded
Absolutely.
up for Fabregas.
It's almost an identical inning in reverse. And that's Eddie Murray. Just patient, steady Eddie. Got 1 pitch to hit. Took a swing at it and fouled it back. Other than that, none of those pitches were close, and Eddie didn't chase it. And now you've got the bases loaded.
Murray departing for the pinch runner. Fabregas, who came on defensively to catch Percival in the top half of the inning to replace Jim Leyritz.
Well, the option here that Terry Collins can have, let Fabregas hit, where he's about a 287 hitter, good line drive hitter, or veteran off the bench Jack Howell. He elected to have Fabregas hit, where he came into the game for defense with Percival.
Orlando Palmeiro is the pinch runner at first base for Murray. Ball 1 to Fabregas.
But Howell is not as good of a percentage hitter, has more power, and what they need, a base hit right now, will win it. So Terry elected to stay with the guy that'll make more contact and just go with the ball, and that's what Fabregas will do.
Foul back, 1-1. Early season blues for two of the best relievers in the game. Troy Percival couldn't nail it down for Langston in the top half of the 9th inning. Now Slocum in a world of trouble in the bottom half to try and close out a 6-5 victory for the Red Sox.
Now the defense in the outfield shortened up because the winning run is on second base now. So they're not worried about a double. They're not worried about a gapper. And it's the same reason, again, as why Terry Collins let Fabregas hit. They're looking for a single. A single wins a game. So it's all situations. You try to put your best matchups, your best people up there in a situation for success. And again, Terry elected to go this route with Fabregas.
1-1 pitch over for strike 2. How many times have we been here? One pitch away from ending it.
Now Slocum in '96 in Boston had a lot of saves that looked like this. He got over 30 of them, but a lot of them looked like this. There weren't very many 1, 2, 3 saves. But in the second half, he found a way to get it done. But it puts you on edge. It puts your defense on edge. It puts your coaching staff on edge, that's for sure. You got to have thick skin to manage in the major leagues.
Fabregas stepping back in, bases loaded, 2 outs. 6-5 Boston. The 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
Well, Slocum's doing the same thing Percival's doing. He's just going with what he feels his strength is right now, which is his fastball. And as people in baseball say, you don't want to get beat on your second or third best pitch. You want to go with your strength, and that's Slocum's strength, his fastball. So I got to believe he's going to go right at him and try to overpower him.
Anything else would be shocking. And again, Fabregas wants time.
You see the catcher now. He wants the ball in. Slocum did not want the ball in. You saw that by the catcher pointing with his little finger toward his right thigh. And that's not the pitch. There he is again. He's trying to go in. He wants to jam Fabregas right here.
2-2 pitch. Just missed the outside corner.
And Slocum really didn't want that pitch. And if both guys aren't in sync, the pitcher and the catcher, that's the time to go out to the mound. Of course, you got a rookie now, Hatteberg, behind the plate. A veteran catcher probably would have called time, going out to the mound and say, hey, what do you want to throw here? Let's talk about this. But Hatteberg will learn that. He'll learn that in the big leagues. He's got a little bit of time up here. It's his second go around.
Well, Percival was here, now Slocum. Loaded up, 3-2 pitch. Popped up, short left field, coming on to make the catch for the win is Cordero, and it's over. And Slocum is able to do what Troy Percival could not perform in the top of the 9th inning. Closes out the win for Pat Mahomes. Harder than he expected it to be, but a 4-run 9th wins it for Boston. 6-5 for Kevin Kennedy. Dave Barnett, thanking you for joining us. Let's join Carl Ravitch again in the studio.
All right, David, thank you very much.